right, let's go. I think we're at episode 40, dude. I think you got episode 40 on me right now.
The big 40.
We got the great John Galan coming out of Florida because he's doing dope stuff there, doing all sorts of crazy stuff. You said you're there for Scale and Escape?
Yeah, we're here for the Scale and Escape event, which is Friday to Sunday.
Nice. Love it.
Yep.
All right, man. So I didn't tell you at all about how this podcast works, so I'll just do it live.
Let's
So
do it.
basically, I'm just gonna go through your story. I'm gonna try to pick out some good crumbs for the people, good lessons and stuff like that. We're gonna just go from there and make some crazy stuff happen.
Let's do
So
it.
classic real estate question. Classic Steve Train question. How'd you get into real estate?
So first, the way I even got into real estate was I was a CPA and I was doing like individual tax returns along with business tax returns. And I always wanted to look at the returns and see where all of these like millionaires and all these rich people were making all their money from. And like 90% of my clients were making all their money from real estate. So I figured there might be something there. So I started, reading books and listening to podcasts and pretty much doing everything besides taking action. I was just like, let me know as much as I could so I'd limit my risk.
Why do you think that is?
It was because I was nervous.
Okay.
It was nerves and fear, it was doing something new and like it was scary, like buying a house, like when I never even thought about that as a possibility, and then just not really understanding the space either because I had no prior real estate background. I went from an art major to an accounting major to getting my CPA and then deciding I wanted to do real estate. So I had to do some research on it. Yeah. And then eventually all that research came to be like 3 years down the road. I still didn't do anything. And then I found out about Jamil through Pace was on a Bigger Pockets episode. Listened to that one, went down Pace Morby's rabbit hole, joined his Facebook group, the Creative Finance Group. And then as soon as I joined, the day after, the advertisement for Secret Agent Challenge 1.0 was posted in their group. So I joined it, and then that was my first introduction to like wholesaling and Jamil and Astro flipping. And pretty much I joined Astro like 2 weeks after the Secret Agent Challenge.
Love it. So let's start with this though. So what were you doing before real estate?
Before real estate, I was doing tax returns and audits.
Okay. And why that out of all things?
I started college. I wanted to do art. Originally,
How old are you?
I'm 27, turning 28.
Okay, you're the same age as me. All right.
Yeah. So I started college as an art major. I liked drawing. I decided, let me go to school for it. Quickly, I realized I'm not going to make any money from this. So I decided to switch my major. I went undeclared for like a year. So I was two and a half years or a year and a half into college, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I went to go switch my major. I knew I liked math. So I was like, let me give accounting a shot. And it was like one of the first majors on the list. I was really lazy. I didn't want to go through all the majors. So accounting. So I only got up to AC. I was like, let me give it a shot. And my first accounting teacher was one of those teachers that, like they said, you have 3 teachers in your life that really shape your future. That teacher was one of those teachers. And so he made me really like accounting and make me really want to be the best I could be.
Why was it one of those teachers?
He just had something about him. I don't even know what it was. I was like drawn to him. It was like the energy that he brought. And he just brought the best out of me. That's why I kind of like, I want to say I fell in love with accounting, but I really found it very interesting. And when I find something interesting, I just go, full steam ahead. So I did that I did the 5-year program there, graduated. I had no job lined up because I didn't have any internships in accounting and I was art. So nobody wanted to hire me. So I just took the CPA right after I graduated. Took the CPA, then I got a job after I passed the CPA exam, and then I was just doing taxes, bookkeeping, and audits, and doing tax season.
And then you found out about real estate, but like, did you have a calling to be an entrepreneur? Or?
I knew I always wanted to make a lot of money, and I knew I always wanted to do my own thing. I didn't always want to be like an employee. My first goal was, let me become a partner at one of these big 4, and then I was like, I don't want to work at the big 4. And then I was like, let me start my own accounting firm. And then I was like, I don't want to do accounting anymore. And then I got into real estate. I was like, I absolutely love this thing. And I'm obsessed over it. And it took me 6 months of getting into Astro to just quit my job completely.
And what about real estate do you like so much? What called to you?
It's so interesting. And like real estate is, I could own properties, right? I could get passive income when I don't do anything. Obviously I had to do stuff to acquire the property, but it's just I own a piece of real estate. It's like a tangible asset. You know, it's there. It's I'm in control of it. So I'm not investing into another company where I'm putting my money into the stock market, which I have no money in the stock market. I just think like buying and selling properties is just such an interesting thing. I've always been intrigued by it. Just like walking to a house and be like, yeah, this is mine. I own this thing. You know, like that's cool. You walk to let's say you own 20 units. You look at that building, you're like, man, the person who owns is probably like loaded. Not necessarily always the case, but just like actually owning properties, I just found very interesting. Like when you're in Monopoly and you own those little board spaces, it was very fun, you know,
Right.
especially when you had the best board, like what was that, Boardwalk or something?
So it's the idea of financial independence,
Financial
basically.
independence, financial freedom, and no taxes.
Right. Yeah,
Coming
that's
from a tax background, you know, I don't want to pay taxes. So
yeah.
depreciation is definitely another thing that intrigued me a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. I mean, do you do your own taxes?
I was, now I'm not going to, just because I got so much going on, like to do my own tax return in other states now. And also with me starting this new partnership with Mahmood, I'm going to have another return to do. So I'm just going to offload all the tax return to my old accounting firm.
So
I'll do the
quickly tell me,
bookkeeping.
what are you up to? Like, what is your business right now? I should have started with that. Like, what is your business right now? What are you doing?
Right now, my business is I'm just doing a ton of agent outreach, and I'm reaching out to agents in like the Tampa market, St. Petersburg, Orlando, but mostly a heavier focus on like Pinellas and Hillsborough counties, and just wholesaling real estate. That's my main business. I know real estate's a broad topic, so right now I'm mostly a wholesaler in
Okay.
real estate.
But what are you doing with Mahmood?
Me and Mahmood are
Also, guys, Mahmood is a guy. He was on the podcast. I think it was like episode 4. Known him for a really long time. Good friend from Astro. He's also mainly doing wholesaling. But what are you guys doing? How are you guys partnering up?
we are actually forming an LLC together and partnering together in Tampa. So we've just hired 2 acquisition specialists and 1 dispo specialist. We're launching the operation October 1st. So
What is
we're
an
just
acquisition specialist to you, and what's a disposition specialist?
so the acquisition specialists are going to be doing all the agent outreach. They're going to be calling all these agents. They're going to be making offers. Our goal right now is to have at least 20 offers a day, 20 to 25 offers a day. And then Dispo is going to have to make 5 to 10 buyer connections every day. And by buyer connections, we mean they're going to have to actually speak to a buyer on the phone for at least 5 to 10, 20 minutes. So form an actual connection with these buyers. So they're going to be doing that. And then eventually we're just going to send all the deals through.
That's so funny. So acquisition specialist does like the initial follow-up or initial outreach,
They'll do
and
the
then
initial outreach and the follow-ups. Like in the beginning, I'm going to be showing them my process, and I'm
are
going to
they closing the deals?
like actually getting on the contract. Yeah, well, it's going to be our company that's going to be on the
No,
contract.
but like, are they making the relationship with the agents and then
Yeah.
like putting in offers and stuff?
Yep. They're making
Okay, damn.
relationships with all those agents. They're putting in the offers. I don't personally go the buyer agent route. So they're going to be calling all these listing agents on specific properties, get some pocket
Is it
listings from
all
them.
MLS?
Yep.
Okay, so you're
All
going
MLS.
full MLS model.
Full MLS model. The only ones that are not from the MLS are going to be obviously the pocket listings that they get through the relationships.
Nice. I like it. It's cool to hear different because when I have acquisition specialists and disposition specialists, but they're very different.
Mm-hmm.
I like differentiate people. Like I differentiate an acquisition specialist and an acquisitions manager, but I'm also different than you. I don't really do the MLS. I mainly just do hit up any realtor and then just follow up with them forever.
Okay, so all right, yeah, got it. Yeah, I have like over the past, I think I've been full time in this now almost 10, 11 weeks, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And like I have like 800 agents in my database right now
Love it.
because I'm just calling listing agents all day on different properties. But I follow up. My day is 70% follow up, 30% new agents.
Are you doing it also? Like that,
Right
like
now I'm doing it. Right now I'm doing it myself because we didn't officially start the business yet. So what I'm doing right now is essentially what the acquisition specialists are going to be doing.
okay.
So it's going to be like 2 of me, well 3, because I'm going to still do it in the beginning until we get the process going and it's flowing nice and smooth, you know. And then I'll start worrying about higher level stuff.
That'll be interesting. I'm curious
Mm-hmm.
to see how it goes with you. I like recently hired. I have 2 what I call acquisition specialists. They just do the initial outreach. Like they
Mm,
collect the info. They don't even talk to them. And then I have 2 acquisition managers who actually do the talking, which
gotcha.
is just interesting to see how that'll work. But anyways, so what made you want to partner up with Mahmood? Like what was missing that he has and Like, why did you want a partner in the first place?
Yeah, so I was always kind of like flip-flopping on if I wanted a partner or not. And then I knew I wanted to start scaling soon. I was like, my goal was to hire one person by the end of the year. By December 31st, I wanted to have one person, whether it be a VA doing transaction coordinating, whether it be a VA that I trained to comp and handle micro flips for me and just only start sending me vetting out all the micro flips. So I knew I wanted to scale up eventually and hire at least one person. And, funny enough, before Mahmoud even brought the idea to partnering up together, I was talking to my girlfriend, Adriana, saying like, I might eventually want to partner with somebody that's really good at stuff that I'm not good at. Like I'm good at acquisitions. I'm good with like the bookkeeping, the legal, the tax. I'm not good at systems, at dispositions, and just like processes and workflow, So I needed somebody to complement my weaknesses. And sure enough, a week later, me and Mahmoud get onto a Google Meet together. We're just like pretty much like this, but we're just like working side by side. And then he brought up an idea about, hey, after pretty much the secret weapon challenge, we both kind of were like, hey, maybe we partner up and get something big going in the Tampa area.
And
so
what
then,
made you choose him? Like, how does one find a good partner?
I mean, if you know Mahmoud, Mahmoud's an absolute savage at what he does. So that was a first thing. But second thing is like Jamil always says it too, like don't pick like yourself as a partner. You don't want somebody that's good at what you do. You want somebody that's good at what you can't do. And Mahmoud, all of my weaknesses are his strengths.
Right.
And all of my strengths are his weaknesses. And we both saw that. And we saw that pretty quickly, and we kind of brainstormed on it, and we were like, let's do it. And it just felt like, when it feels like something's right, like you feel the energy there. You're like, you have feeling in your gut, like this is something we should be doing, and it's like an opportunity that if we don't take this now, I know it's going to be a missed opportunity in the future.
I like it. Cool. Awesome. I like it. It's interesting. So what are your goals, man? Like where are we going
with this one? So our goal is pretty much after 90 days, we want average month to be 100K a month. But the main goal is we want our company to be the number one wholesaling operation in the Tampa market.
Nice.
We want a slow month eventually to be around $1 million a month.
Nice.
So big goals, but
sick.
we both have a burning desire for it, and we both are very intentional of what we're doing. And there's literally zero doubt in our minds that this is going to happen.
Nice. I love it. That's cool. So is it just building a huge wholesaling company right now? That's like the biggest goal?
Yeah, so like the overall like 10-year goal is to build a large enough wholesale operation to where it's essentially passive for me, and acquire 5,000 doors.
Nice. Love it. That's cool, man. I love the grind. I love the ambition. It's going to be fucking freaking sick to watch the whole thing happen. So you just quit your job very recently.
June 23rd.
I love it. So why now?
So I knew I wanted to quit because after 4 busy seasons, I was like, I love snowboarding. It's one of my favorite things to do. And I couldn't do it because busy season is January through April, and snowboarding season doesn't really start until like mid to late December. So I would only be able to go like 3 or 4 times a season. So I knew I wanted to eventually get out of tax season, and I didn't want to, especially when I like get older and I have a family. I didn't want to sacrifice the first 4 months of every single year to a job. And so I knew I wanted to quit soon, and I knew real estate was going to be my out. But before I founded like wholesaling and Astro flipping, I thought it was going to be more like 5 years. I had to acquire enough doors to have passive income to substitute my active income before I could quit. And then I joined Astro, and it wound up being like 5 months before I quit. But I wasn't like, it's not like I substituted my income completely. I only did one deal before I quit.
Okay.
I did one deal. I got my first deal done the last day of tax season. So I started January 24th. It was the first day I ever took action. I circled it in my calendar. I wrote it down. I'll never forget. January 24th, 2022 was the first day I ever took action. And I told myself I want to get a deal done before April 15th or on or before April 15th. So I started doing that in the middle of tax season, waking up at 4 a.m, do 4 to 9 taxes, 9 to 1 real estate, 1 to like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, a little bit of both, but mostly accounting. And then April 14th, I assigned the deal, and April 15th, everything was signed and money was in escrow. So I got my first deal essentially done. It funded, I got paid out 2 weeks later, but I got it done on April 15th.
Nice. But like, why the first deal? Like what, like, was it like a promise you made it to yourself? Because what I'm like pressing on this is because there are a lot of people who are watching right now or who will be watching who are afraid of quitting their jobs. It's like a big thing. That W-2 check is like very comfortable. Like, what made you jump?
Being able to get a deal done in the middle of tax season, like tax season is a very grueling time. To be able to balance both and then get a deal done, I was like, man, imagine if I was doing this full time, what I could do. And I was also doing it. So from April 15th, it ended, and I didn't quit till June 23rd. In the middle of that time period, I did not like my job at all. I was miserable when I was doing accounting, and I was very happy when I was doing wholesaling. And I realized that, and I sat down one day and I was just thinking to myself, like, I looked at my savings. I knew I had a 401k I could liquidate. So I was like, I do have some reserves. I don't have a family. I know what I budgeted. I was like, what do I need to make a month in order to survive? And how many months can I survive if I had nothing come in for the next, however long? So I really took a look at my finances first. And I was like, okay, I'm good. I could survive a couple of months with nothing coming in whatsoever and just live off my savings. And then if I need to, liquidate my 401k, because I don't even care about my 401k. My retirement is going to be my properties that I buy. So that's what I was looking at. And I was like, why am I delaying the inevitable? I want to quit. I know for a fact I'm going to do what I need to do to be successful. So there was fear a little bit, but I also was just super confident in myself, and I knew what I had to do, especially from being in an Astro. Like I knew the path that I had to take, and I could see the path. I just had to start walking it. So quitting my job was pretty much me getting out of my seat and starting on the path. And one day I just woke up too. I was already debating quitting. I woke up one day, I took a nap because I was exhausted, right? I took a nap in between work, and my phone starts vibrating uncontrollably. My boss texted me like 10 text messages in a row. Oh, by the way, we got to start working on this. We got to think about that. We got to do this. We got to do that. We got to do this. And I'm like, this is a sign. Hey, man, listen, yeah, I'm going to give you a 2-month notice, but I'm done. I already told you I was going to go down the real estate
That's
route.
nice
I'm
that you
doing
did
it.
2-month notice. That's a long notice.
It was a long notice because I worked directly under a partner and I handled all of his stuff. So I didn't, and he's always been very nice to me. He always went above and beyond for me. So I was very appreciative of him. So I didn't want to just give him 2 weeks and be like, hey, sorry. Especially because in July was a big project that I handled myself. So I started training people. I told them to hire somebody. I made like Loom videos for everything that I did. So I made sure that they were in a really good spot. So when I left, it wasn't going to be that much of a learning curve.
Right.
So I gave him a 2-month notice.
I like it. Awesome. So it was just like a calling, you'd say. Is that why? Like you just like felt like it was time. There was no like necessarily logical reason. Or how would you?
I
What would you
knew
recommend to somebody
I
to
would
take that
recommend,
jump?
if you're thinking of quitting your job, first take an inventory of your finances. And if you have a family depending on you, I just lived with my girlfriend. So I didn't have kids. I didn't have, a wife to support. Like my girlfriend had her own job, but we had no kids. We had a cat and an apartment. That was it. So take an inventory of your finances and really see, how much am I spending every month on fixed? What's fixed? What is not changing? Like your rent, your mortgage, like groceries, like something you're always going to be spending on. So find out total monthly how much you have to pay, and then also look at stuff that, like what's your Starbucks looking like every month, like cut back on that. So once you find out exactly how much you need, and I would add probably another like couple hundred to your fixed expenses, how much you're going to need to make a month. Okay. I needed to make more than $7,500 a month, more than 5,000 take home, to be able to be better than my job.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was like, that's very possible. So I took an inventory myself, and then I also did some self-reflecting. I'm like, when people, when they start working for themselves, they could be like, oh, I could take off a Friday because I work for myself, right? So you could get a little lazy when you're working for yourself. I knew I was going to be the complete opposite. I knew I'm going to be working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, which I am doing. If you know you're going to do that, and you have no doubt in your mind that you're going to do that, and you can survive 2-3 months with nothing coming in, you're going to be fine. And I would say maybe quit your job. However, if you have a family and they're really depending on it, maybe get the operation going a little bit. I dove in. I had one deal done, and that was it. I had proof of concept. I quit my job. I went to the Astro Mastermind. That first month full time, I got 4 deals done.
Love it.
So if you have a pretty much burning desire, persistence, you have to be persistent or else you're going to fail. And just unwavering faith in yourself. Once I knew I was quitting, I didn't get another deal done until after the mastermind. But I viewed it as a test. I viewed it as God saying like, okay, now you want to quit. Let's have you be so dry that you start worrying, like, maybe what if I can't get a deal done? What if I, but stop the doubt. Don't even listen to it. And just know deep down you're going to do what you need to do. And that if everything that is like a test, you have to view the test. Whenever you're struggling, you're going to come out of that so much better than you were before you got into that situation. So just believe in yourself, honestly.
I love it. So joined Astro. Why did you join Astro? You said you were part of Pace's community.
I
Like
was
it's
just the free, yeah, I was thinking of
what
sub
attracted you
two.
to Astro then? To Jamil's group.
It was the energy that I felt on the Secret Agent Challenge. Like you guys, it was Brittany, then it was you, then it was like Michelle and Paul, and then I think it was like Zolan, and then Cyrus, Jameson, the whole crew, and everybody looked like they're having a great time. And something about Jamil's energy was just crazy. Like I was like, but I really, the first time I actually got on a call with Astro was Ryan Zolan mentioned on his call during the Secret Agent Challenge. You get into a call with one of Jamil's team. We'll choose one person. We'll fly them out to Arizona. They'll hang out with me, Pace, and Jamil. I was like, I want to do that. So I signed up. I get on the call, and then they're like, all right, we're going to connect you with somebody else. I'm like, all right, cool. I guess I made it to the next step. And then I'm on a call with Sheila from New Reach. And we start talking. She goes, all right, cool. So like, how do you want to join that? How do you want to pay for Astro? I was like, I'm sorry, what? I was like, I thought this was for the meetup. And then something happened. And I'm so thankful that I listened to this. I was like, give me 1 second. I stopped and I was like, how the hell did I get to this point when I told myself I'm never paying for a mentorship? I'm never joining one. I was like, how did I even get here? And I just thought back on the series of events from like accounting from art, then switching to accounting, then not going the Big Four route, then not getting my first job offer, and then getting that job, and then pivoting, finding Pace the next day, finding Astro, and then getting on this call. I'm like, this has to be a sign. It's not a coincidence. I was like, this is an opportunity here. So I know if I don't take this, I just felt it in my gut, in my heart. I was like, I need to join this. So it felt right. And I said, my next question to her was like, do you guys take payment plans?
So what about your journey? Like what in your journey made you feel that way? Like it was just like
the way everything happened. Like, so I went from, I didn't even want to go to this school, Oneonta. Okay. It wasn't even on my list. So I'm bringing you back to high school now. Okay. High school, I wanted to go to like FIT for art. And then I wanted to go to Albany because it was a party school. So I went to go visit, and one of my dad's friends said, hey, also take him to Oneonta. It's a really nice place. So I was like, all right, let's go. I went there. I fell in love with the campus. So I went to Oneonta. Okay, that starts the journey, right? Then I'm art in Oneonta. Decided I don't want to do that anymore. Then I go to accounting. Then led me to real estate. But since I started out off as art, I had no internships, so I had no job, right? So then I took the CPA. After I passed the CPA, I got a job at a tax recruiting firm because I passed the CPA in February. So no accounting firm was hiring. So I'm at a tax recruiting firm. That led me to not want to be in the Big Four. And they got me 2 interviews. The first one I bombed. So I didn't get that job. Thank God. Second one was a job I worked at for 4 years. And that led me to doing a little bit of everything, finding out about real estate. And then I just went down that path. And then I was listening to podcasts, and I'm on a ferry ride home one day. And I'm like, do I want to listen to this podcast? I was like, I don't want to. And then I was about to end it, and it was the one Pace went on. The first time I ever heard of Pace, it was that podcast. So I listened to the whole thing. And then I went down Pace's rabbit hole. Then I went to Astro. And then I'm like, yeah, I should be here. It's just a whole thing. And it connected with me too. I was like, every little thing happened for a reason. Me not getting that job, me starting off as art, me going to this college. Like, it all was connected, which I think eventually led me to Astro, because Astro is what's eventually going to lead me to achieving the financial freedom that I want, achieving all of the visions that I have in my head already. And I know because I felt something missing. And then once I joined Astro, it felt like that last puzzle piece was just put in place.
Interesting. That's like a very interesting way of thinking about it, where it's like it's almost spiritual. Like, are you spiritual at all? Like, do you feel like it was like the universe or anything? Or do you just feel like, because it sounds like a journey as though something's guiding you, right?
Yeah, I wasn't spiritual before. Then I joined Astro, and week one is all about mindset. And then I started really looking into it, and I really got into it. And like you see, like Napoleon Hill says, from Napoleon Hill to Dr. Joe Dispenza, it's all constant. It's all the same thing. And all these millionaires and billionaires, they all say the same thing, essentially. I visualized it. I felt it. I lived it before it happened. I meditated on it. My mindset is one of the key And I just kept hearing it and hearing it and hearing it. And I was like, dude,
So what
this
were you
is
thinking beforehand? Like before, because you weren't spiritual. Like, was it like, do you get what I mean? Like, it's
no, no.
interesting that you weren't spiritual, but also like you felt something drawing you. Like, what do you think that something was, or how were you rationalizing it, or what
So
was
like
going on in your
in
head?
the moment, I didn't feel anything drawing me. Once I was in a situation and I'm like, wait, something just randomly clicked. I was always confident, always knew what I wanted to do. I never believed in like meditation really. I never really believed in like I believed in visualizing, but not to the extent that I do now, like manifesting. I was like, oh, I was always the person that said, oh, you can't just like say you can't just like think about doing something. It's just gonna happen. You're gonna have to put in the work regardless. I mean, that's still true. You still got to take massive action to achieve what you want. But like I never meditated before I joined Astro, and I meditate every single morning now. And it's just like the clarity of mind, and then just like getting super laser focused on my main goal and my desire in life, you know? So I didn't feel the pull. I didn't feel the calling when it was happening. Like I didn't feel it when I went to Oneonta, but maybe I did. Maybe it's that gut feeling, you know, it's that gut feeling, that instinct. So like, I just felt it, but I didn't really pay any attention to it. Like as of like, oh, I'm feeling something, you know what I mean? Like I didn't give it a name. I didn't like call attention to it. I just felt it. I was like, it feels right. Let me try it. But I didn't know what that was until I really got like spiritual. And I focus on my internal environment more than my external environment, because this strong, everything else outside is going to be strong.
Interesting. So was it books where you learned all that stuff, or was it more just like you kind of like felt it?
Like when I learned it, like what I know now, like once I got into it, it was mostly podcasts. It's a mix of books and podcasts.
Okay.
So
Which ones? What do you recommend?
So for books, Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza, The Power of Intention by Wayne Dyer, Think and Grow Rich, and The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill. Those are all really good books. The Ed Milet podcast, one of my favorite podcasts ever, if not my favorite podcast. And then I would also look up clips on YouTube of like Wayne Dyer, of Eric Thomas, Joe
Right.
Dispenza, Louise
Great
Hay,
people.
all of those exactly, and just listen to them. They all say the same stuff too, you know. And I something clicked too. I was like, if Napoleon Hill wrote about this in like 1930 or whatever, and it's still being applied to this day, and Dr. Joe Dispenza, who's now studying the science of it, and you know, is saying the same thing, like it's got to be true.
Right.
And then I started doing it and applying it, and like everything I've said I wanted to do so far, I have done. I wanted to get my beard shaved at the Clever Summit. I got my first deal done April 15th, and I got my beard shaved on stage at the Clever Summit.
Tell people that story because it's just also hilarious.
Yeah, so
It's why I know you, basically.
yeah,
Like we would have met at Clever Summit too, but like I wouldn't have, like it would have been
just another guy in Astro.
not even just that. Like it's also just that like it intrigued me to you because it was like, oh, this is hilarious. This guy's hilarious and he's doing like dope stuff.
Yeah, so backstory on that was I used to, whenever I had busy season, I would always grow my beard out and call it a busy season beard. So I wouldn't shave from January till April 15th.
Hilarious.
And then I joined that show, and it was around that time. So I told Jamil on one of our calls, I was like, hey, I'm not shaving my beard until I get my first deal done. And it was one episode of Wholesale Hotline where I brought a deal and it almost went through. It was a multifamily deal for Jamil and Pace, but it fell through in Orlando. And then Jamil kind of brought it up, and Pace and Jamil were like, if he gets a deal done before Clever Summit, let's shave his beard on stage. And then I didn't think they were serious until Jamil told me, like, yeah, like I'm being very serious. And he came to the New York meetup, and it was like 2 weeks before. He made a YouTube short, like, if you're not going to be at the Clever Summit, you're missing this guy get his beard shaved on stage.
That's
And I
hilarious.
didn't do a deal yet, though. I didn't
Right.
have it yet. It wasn't guaranteed. I was like, oh shit, I can't make him look like a liar. So I went hard for trying to get that first deal, and I actually got it done that day. But I got super intentional the last 2 weeks before. I wasn't that intentional the other 3 months before, but I got super intentional, and I felt it. I felt the razor on my face.
Tell me about like, because I've noticed that in people like that, those challenges, like something like a challenge will really push you and motivate you to get something done. What flipped in your mind? Like what did you start doing differently once you realized you were like the spotlight's on you?
I kind of changed like the subconscious thoughts in my head. It was really the biggest thing, because when I was doing it, I noticed myself saying like, yeah, I would like to get a deal done before April 15th, but you know, I am still in busy season, you know, or
But
once busy season ends, you know, I'm going to definitely get a deal done. So
it's the
I already
but.
instilled the doubt. Yeah, exactly. So I just started changing that and be like, no, man, I'm getting this done. I'm getting this done by that next weekend. I have to get this done. I am going to get this done. And I just changed it. And I felt myself be serious. So every deal I looked at, I'm like, this is it. This one's gonna be done. This is it. And then I got that Vallejo deal.
We were
That
working
one.
on.
Yeah. And I just, again, I felt it. I was like, this is it. This is gonna be it. And it happened to be it.
That was what happened with that one with me. Did I pass on it? I might have passed on it.
No, no. So you
Or
were
did I
working
try to
it.
do it and I couldn't find it? Remind me, just because I'm curious. I remember
So
you
we,
sending it,
yeah,
but
I
it's like
sent
hard
it.
for me to remember.
And then the contract holder decided, once you had a buyer that wanted to walk it, I had a buyer that wanted to sign it. I was about to send the assignment, that they were going to take it down themselves now, creatively.
Oh
And then
yeah.
they said the deal's off the table. And then
Oh yeah.
and then the
Yeah,
next day later, we got a call back saying, oh, the seller's CPA said no. So is your buyer still interested? That was that one. And then luckily they were interested.